Welcome. In this video, I'm going to show you how to set up Qt 6 in your machine, and then I'm going to show you how to set up a CMake project file so that you can then create a project for either Visual Studio or Qt Creator. Now, you might only be here to do either Visual Studio or Qt Creator, so what I suggest is check down in the timestamps below so you can skip to the appropriate part that you're more interested in. Perhaps you already have Qt installed and you just care about setting up the CMake file. So check out the timestamps. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go install Qt 6. So we're going to go and in Google just search Qt install, and then once you're here, click on qt.io website, go to download that try up at the top, go to the very bottom, and this will change to open source. So you will go open source, and then go to the very bottom and you will hit download the Qt online installer, and you will hit download, and then you download it, and then once it's done downloading, you double click it, you run it. One thing is you're going to need an account, so click here sign up. It'll take you to this same Qt.io website, to their account page, and then you sign up with your email and create a password. Once you have that, put that in here, hit next. Then this is gonna log in, make sure that whether you have access to the license. It's free, so it'll just go through. Then you say, do you approve the legality of things? If you're just an individual, then select individual. If you're a company, then you toggle this. But if you're a company, most likely you have to there's more legal stuff that you have to take into account. So I'm assuming that you're just a person trying to set this up. So here you're gonna go, it's gonna say let's set it up. You're going to hit next. Now I already have Qt installed, so I'm gonna show you to the step where I can take you, and then I'm gonna go and run something slightly different. Here, if you want to help out, say improve, you can send things. Since I'm just setting this up, I'm just gonna hit disable. And then in here, you're going to select a directory where you want to install Qt. You can leave it in the default. It doesn't matter. I have it installed in another place. I have it installed in, let's say, we have it installed in Programs, and I have Qt right here. So this is the D drive in Qt, right? So you can go ahead and choose whatever directory you want, or leave it by default. Just remember where you install it. And then leave custom install. All right, and then you're gonna hit next. Now I cannot hit next because I already have it installed. I don't wanna go and install it again. So what I'm gonna do is, and maybe you already have it installed, is I'm just gonna run the maintenance tool that gets installed with it, and it does the same. It's the same thing. It's just that instead it is associated to the install you already did. So once you install Qt for the first time, you will have the maintenance tool, right? So I have the option to add and remove components. So I'm going to do that, and then wait a little bit. Once it's complete, you will come to this page, which is a similar page as if you were just installing from the first time, where I stop and I say hit next. You're going to come to this, right? And what I want you to see is that if I scroll this Qt down, this is all the different versions that you can install. Notice I have 5.14.2, 5.15 installed. I have version 6, and there's already a new one, which is 6.0.1. It's a preview. If you want to go to the preview, go ahead. The ones that are already established are the ones at the bottom. So go ahead and select, well, don't select Qt 6 yet. What you're going to do is you're going to push the little arrow, and you want to install only the ones that you want. So I installed everything because why not? But I would say the first one is for Visual Studio. The second one is if you're trying to compile using Ming. Then if you are trying to do something for Android, and then there's sources, and then there's other Qt tools that you can install if you like. What's important is if you're doing Visual Studio, or you're on Windows that you do this. If you're on Linux or Mac, you can choose Ming. Just pick the one the compiler that you want to use to compile your C++, right? So for example, if I don't want Ming, I can unselect it, or if you can leave it. It's up to you. Then you're going to hit next. Now I cannot hit next because I haven't done any changes, but I'm just going to remove that to hit next. And then after that, it's going to say install. You hit install, and it'll take a while. I'm not going to hit update because I don't want to get rid of my Ming compiler. So you just let it run until it's complete. Once you have that, I'm going to cancel this. We're going to set up your Qt, the one that you just installed, Qt 6, in your path. So what you're going to do is we're going to right click on this PC. We're going to hit properties, and we're going to go to advanced system settings, and then we are going to go to environment variables. And here we're going to add one variable, which is going to be the path to Qt. So I already have it, of course, and in here on the bottom part you're going to hit new, and then in here you're going to type Qt dir, and in the variable value, you're going to hit browse directory, and you're going to go to that Qt installation that you did, right? So for example, I said I did it in this PC programs, and then in here I have Qt, right? This is where I installed it. Now the one you select is the version that you want. So we're doing Qt 6. So you're going to do Qt 6, and then the type of compiler that you want to use. So for example, I want to use Visual Studio compiler, so I'm going to select the MSBC 2019, particularly 64-bit. Once you have that, you're going to hit OK, right? So this, the Qt dir would be a install version of Qt 6. In this case, it's the Visual Studio. Then you're going to hit OK. I'm not going to hit OK because I already have it here, right? And so now once you have that, you're going to look for path, and you're going to hit edit, and you're going to add 2 new things. So you're going to hit new, and you're going to type Qt dir. You're going to put the percentage in between, like Qt dir in between percentage on the left and right, and then you will type a backward slash, and then you type bin lib for 1, and then you hit OK. Again, I'm gonna leave it there, and I'm gonna do one more. It's gonna be Qt dir %, and this is gonna be bin. Right? So you want the lib, which is the library files, and the bin, which has some executable files. You want to add them in your path because you might need them as part of your application. Now, I already have mine added here, as you can see, so I don't want to do it again. So I'm going to hit cancel, but you hit OK. Right? Don't hit cancel, hit OK. Now that you have that, Qt is installed and ready to use in your machine. So what we're going to do now is we're going to set up the CMake project. So I'm going to make a folder. I'm going to close all of this stuff, and I have a folder here. This is where we're going to put our project files. Now, I almost forgot, we need to install CMake. So if you don't have CMake, we have to go and install CMake. So you're going to go and open up another browser, another tab, and you will look for CMake. Once you come here, you just click on the first one. You're going to hit download, and then you go ahead and download it from here. You can do the MSI. You hit OK and you install it. There's nothing special about it. You just hit install. It's like when you install any other program. I already have it installed, so we're not going to go ahead and do that. But let's go ahead and run it so you can see it. And so this is going to look like this. I have version 3.17.2, which now there is a newer version. I could go ahead and update, but it's okay. It works. It's fine. This is compatible up to version 3.14. So go ahead and install the latest version that you got. And so what I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and create our CMake project file. Now, because we don't want to make this video too long, which probably it's already getting longer than I hope, is we're going to create a file called cmakelist.txt. In that, pick a folder where you're going to store your project files. And I'm going to open this, and I'm going to open it with Visual Studio Code. And let me close this. Let me close this. Let me open this. All right. So in here, we're going to write our code for CMake. And so what I want to do is I already have it written, and we're just going to go over it so to make the video a little bit faster. So like I say, this works fine for CMake version 3.14 or higher. Of course, if you have, let's say, like I said, I have version 3.17, I could go ahead and put 3.17 here as well. So this depends on other dependencies that you may have in your project. So we want this to work for Windows and Linux and so forth. So we're going to have this. So if we are on Windows, then we're going to set it up like this. Project. This is the name of the project. So whatever project that you're building, it has a name. You put the name of your project instead of my project. And then, we're using CXX, C++. And then in here, if you're on Unix system, then you just do my project. So this works for Linux and Mac. And then we're going to set up our configuration type. So we either have release or release with debug info. Okay, so you don't need pure debug or the other ones. Right now we just leave release and release with debug info. And then we're going to include Qt or Qt. And so the first one is we include the current directory. We're going to set automock and autouic. And then we're going to look for Qt in our path. Remember, we set Qt in our path, so this should be able to find it without us needing to actually go and search it manually. And then we're going to include the package Qt 6 core and Qt 6 widgets because we want to use the UI. Right? If you don't want to use the UI and you're just trying to use the library aspect of it, then you can include Qt 6 core. If you are trying to use something related to networks, then you will add find package Qt 6 networks. If you are trying to use something with rendering, then you'll add OpenGL. You'll add all the other packages that you need following this line. And then we're going to include our project files. So what I'm going to do is we're going to create 3 folders here. So this is our folder where we have our stuff. I'm going to create 3 folders. The first folder is going to be called forms, where we're going to store our forms, so our .ui files. The next one is going to call include, where we put our header files, and the last one is going to be source, where we put our CPP files. Right? So these 3 folders, I am going to have a variable that points to that directory. Then I have another one that points to the include directory, another one that points to the source directory, right? So that's how you get those. And then I'm going to include those directories as part of my project. So, forms there, include there, source there, these 3 variables. And then I'm going to find all the files that are part of my project, all my UI files, all my resource files, which are in the forms directory, and then all my header files, which are in my include directory, and all my source files, which are in my CPP directory. Then I'm going to set up the executable. And this part right here, what this allows you to do is if you are trying to set up a debugging or a logging system, this will allow you to be able to use debugging logs in a release with debug info. So I have a video on how to set up a logging system. I'll leave a note and I'll leave it in the description too. You can check that out as well. But sometimes you want to log because you want to see if your application is working. Well, you want certain logs to only work when you're debugging. Well, this allows that only debug logs work with release with debug info. But once you go to release, those debug logs do not work. So it's a nice little thing. And you can check that video. I'll leave a link in the description. Then the next thing, so again, if you don't care about logging or anything, you can delete these 3 lines, or these 4 lines. All right, and then this next thing is we're going to add the forms directory to the auto UIC. So that's our forms directory. We add it to our CMake auto UIC search paths, and then we're going to add the executable for Windows. We have the name of the project and the sources, all of our files that are part of our project, and Win32 because we add Win32 so make sure that command line window doesn't pop up because this is we're going to add a form, so we don't want the form and the command line. If you want the command line, then take off Win32. And then if you're on any Unix based system, then you just leave it the same way. You just don't put Win32. And then we're going to add our these things to our target includes. So that's our forms, our include, and our source. And then last thing, we're going to link to the libraries. So we're using the widget library. So we're going to link to the Qt6 widgets. Again, if you're using networks, then you're going to add another line just like this one that says Qt6 : networks. If you're using OpenGL, you do OpenGL. And if you're using charts, you'll also do charts. So this mirrors a lot this part right here. The only difference is the Qt6 core. You don't need it at the very bottom. All right, this is it. This is all you need to set up your CMake project. And whatever header files you include in include will be part of your project. Whatever CPP files will be in your source. Whatever is in your forms, whatever UI files and resource are in your forms will be part of your project. And of course, I'm about to show you how to do that. But last thing is, again, I will post this file on a GitHub repository so you can go and just download it and use it so you don't have to type it all from scratch. But I wanted to go over it so you can know what each of these things does, and you'll probably edit to add more things as your project gets bigger and so on. So now the next thing is we want to run this, right? We want to see it run. So what we're going to do is, now that I have this, I'm going to save it, and I'm going to close it, and now I'm going to go to CMake, right? And I want to open this file. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this directory, and I'm going to put it here, and then I'm also going to put it here, and I want my build to be in a separate directory, and I like to call it the build directory. So in here I'm just going to do a build folder. So there will be a build folder here with all of our build. And so in here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit configure, and it's going to ask if you want to make the build folder. You say yes. We're using Visual Studio 2019. I'll show you how to do Qt Creator after we're done with Visual Studio 19. So in here, you're going to go and select x64 for 64-bit, and you hit finish. And then this is just going to go and look for the Qt files, the libraries, and so on. No issues. Everything worked fine. No errors. So that's great. And then we're going to hit generate, and this is going to create a project. Then we're going to run this. This will open Visual Studio 2019. Make sure that I'm within the recording window. There you go. And then in here, on the right side, one thing you want to do is you want to right click on my project and you want to do setup as a starting project. And the reason for that is because when you hit run, all build is not your project, it just builds the project, so nothing will happen. So you want to set this as you start a project. Once you have that, that's it. You have a running project. Now, of course, we have no code, so we hit play, we're going to get an error. It's just going to be like, bro, we don't even have a main or anything. So we're going to go ahead and let's add some code. So what we want to do is go back to your source, and we're going to add new text, and we're going to do our main.cpp. And yes, right? And now, when you add a file to your project, you know Visual Studio is not aware of it, because all of the files that are part of your project were put together when you generated your project files with CMake. So once you add a change, you create a file or delete a file, what you have to do is you have to come back to CMake and just hit configure and generate again. This will know that something changed. You hit reload. And once you have this, now you have, if I go here to my source files, here's main.cpp. And then in here now I can just say int main and hit that and then run it. And now we have a running project that has Qt enable in your project. Now, of course, I'm going to show you that this indeed works. So let's do some Qt stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the arguments here, and then we're going to include the Q application. And then, we can now do Q application app and then argc argv. And then argv, and then we just do app.execute, and then we return this, right? So now, of course, we do this, nothing still happens, but now we have, Qt is part of our project. So now let's create a form, and then we show that it works. So what I'm going to do is now that you have Qt installed, you can use Qt Creator. So you go where you install Qt. So let's just say I have mine, like I said, I have mine on programs, and then I go to Qt. And then we're using version 6, so I go to 6. Actually, no, that's not true. We're going to go to Tools, and then we're going to go to Qt Creator, and then go to Bin. And then here you will have Qt Creator somewhere at the bottom. What I suggest is for you to pin it to your start or create a shortcut so you can use it in the future. So Qt Creator will allow you to run this same application that we're doing, but it will also let you create forms. So what I want to do is I want to do File, I want to do a new file, and I want to create a designer form header file CPP with a form. And I'm going to select this. It's going to be a main window, and again, we're just going to leave it like that. And what I want to do is I want to include it here, and I'm going to put all those files in our folder here, right? So then I hit next, I hit finish. We're not adding it to any Git. Let's make this a little bit bigger. And just for giggles, I'm going to add a button that says click me, right? Click me. And I'm just going to set a layout here. And let's just make this bigger, right? And we're going to save this. And then we can close it. We're not going to do anything with it, right? Here's our 3 files, our UI, our header, and our CPP. We drag the UI. Oops, I double clicked it. We are a UI to our forms. Yep, I know, I double clicked it. We're going to add our header to our, wow, okay. We're going to add our header to our include and our CPP to our source. And then again, because we added new files, we come here, we configure and generate. This will now know that we have added some files. So let's use of that window. So that window was called main window, right? And we're going to create a new main window. So main window, and this is going to be a pointer. It doesn't have to be a pointer, but why not? And then window that show. Right? So now when we run this, we have a running application with a full form that we have generated through CMake. And so that's it, right? This is how, now you have Qt set up on your machine, and you can use that CMake project file that I gave you in conjunction with CMake to generate a Visual Studio project that you can just run, and you can now do things with it, right? So yeah, so that's how you do it with Visual Studio. Now let me show you how you do it with Qt Creator. Let's say you don't want to use Visual Studio, or let's say you are in like Unix or Mac or whatever, you want to use Qt Creator there. So I'm going to close Visual Studio, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back. I don't need, well, like I said, maybe you want to point this down somewhere. I'm going to close CMake. I don't need CMake, and I'm going to delete my build folder, right? Because we're starting from scratch. And so now what I want to do is I want to run Qt Creator, right? So let me close this. I have it pinned on my start menu. And so what I want to do is I want to do File, open a file, and what we're going to do is we're going to go to that same, we're going to select this CMake list.txt. That's your project file. So you click it, and what you'll notice is that maybe for you, the same things that are happening to me are not happening to you. But here, what we're going to do is we want to set up this project, right? So what I want to do is I want to use, you can either use Visual Studio. So notice I had different versions of Qt installed. So here I have 5.14, 5.15, and version 6. And then I have version 6 with Ming and version 6 with Visual Studio. You pick the one that you install. So I can still use the Visual Studio compiler. And I want to set up to release. So then I can just say configure project. Now it is possible, and then now you just hit play. And it's very easy. Qt Creator does it pretty easy. But it's possible that for you it didn't work, right? So don't get frustrated. It's possible that you came in there and you got this window, but this is blank and it's not working for you. And that could be maybe because Qt Creator doesn't know where CMake is. So what we're going to do is you're going to go to Manage Kits, right? And also if you have installed various versions of Qt, you can select which is the default, like what is your preference. Again, my default is the Visual Studio compiler, so I have that as default. That's why it defaults over here as well. And what you're going to go is you're going to the right where it says CMake, and then in here, if it's not listed, you're going to hit Add, and then in here, once you hit Add, you can call this, let's say, CMake, right? And you're going to go to Browse, and you're going to go where you install CMake. So I installed it again. I installed my stuff in a separate drive, CMake, bin, CMake.exe, right? And then you hit OK. Now, Qt Creator knows where CMake is, and it's able to generate the project. I'm not going to hit OK because I already have it set up, right? And this is basically how you do it, right? So if you wanted to use Ming, you come here and hit Build. I've never done this, so let's see what happens. I'm first time doing that on camera. And it's doing some stuff, and it seems to do it. And we just hit play. And still building, and it works, right? So you can either use either Ming or Visual Studio, whatever you want. And if you're using this in Linux, you can do that. If you're on Linux also, once you go to CMake, so I'll show you another one. I'll show you another one. Show you all my methods, fellas. So what you can do is you can grab this, the same thing, right? You can do this on build. You can do this on build, and at the top, in the top, I just go like that. Right, and I hit configure, and yes. And in here, if you're on Linux, you also have the ability to do make files. I don't know if it will show on Windows, but in here you can choose make files, and you can create a make project, and then you just run make on it, and it'll execute, and it'll build it, and then you can just run the application, and it'll run it. That's also another way that works. I've tried it before, and it works. I'm not on Linux, so I'm not. Here we go, Unix make files, right? And then you just hit make on that project and it'll build it, and then you run the project that was built, and that's it. So this is how you set up Qt 6 in your machine. You install it, add it to the path. We do a CMake project file, which I show you, and again, check the link in the description to see where you can download it and use it. Then you open up CMake if you want to do it through CMake and Visual Studio, and then you configure and generate your project, and then you run it on Visual Studio. You can open up your CMake list.txt directly on Qt Creator. It doesn't matter where you are, whether you're on Windows, Linux, or Mac, and it will automatically run it. Just make sure that Qt Creator knows where CMake is installed so that it's able to use it to configure the project. All right, so I hope I didn't miss anything. Let me see my cheat sheet. One more thing that I almost forgot is that if you want to create subfolders inside your forms, so let's say here you want to organize things, right? Let's say you want to say like, this is my, frames, you have another folder for frames, and you want to add UI files here. Once you go and look at your CMake list.txt, you have to make sure that you also add that to your forms here. All right, so you would have to copy this, paste it again, and then in here you would say something like, what do you call it, frames, right? So something like, you would be, here you go, forms, frames, right? Because it doesn't do a recursive search within the subfolders. So what happens is that if you just try to organize your UI files in subfolders, it's not going to know, and you have to come here and edit that in. All right, that was the only thing that I forgot to mention that I put in my cheat sheet to make sure that it's important. All right, so if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below. If you learned something new from this video, if you found it useful and you don't mind, leave a like. If you're new to this channel, check out the channel. And if you like what you see, subscribe. Be safe, enjoy Qt 6, and peace out.